Well, folks, welcome to Friday. We made it today. And Matt, we talked in the pre-show, and it seems that you've gone pushed over the edge on the controversy that is not really controversy. It's game day, and it's the SEC. And why should anybody be surprised that that's where they go?
Yeah, yeah. It's game day's fallen under attack. They're falling victim to the great conference war of 2024 and 2025,
Right.
or between the Big Ten and the SEC. And it's not a. I can sit here and objectively say that I don't really watch College Game Day as much as I used to. And that's more because of the way they've changed, like going about the show, not because of the destinations they're choosing.
Mhm.
That's where everybody's getting upset. It's like the destinations they're choosing. That's not like the reason that I don't watch it. I don't watch it now because it's like not the stuff that I want to see anymore. It's very much they still celebrate college football, but they celebrate it in a very different way, and it feels much more like you're hanging out, you're having a good time, stuff like that. They still give you some good insights into football, from time to time. Some of the interviews they do are really good, but everybody's up in arms because of the locations they're going to. Why? Why? They were upset last week because they chose to go to Georgia, number 5 Georgia, or number 5 Ole Miss,
Mhm.
and number 9 Georgia last week. That, heaven forbid, they went to a top 10 matchup,
Mhm.
instead of the Holy War, which the Holy War was a great game, but that's not what they were setting out. And the thing that really tipped me over the edge was last night I was watching a video because these people have used it.
Mhm.
I've seen some media people, they use it as like clickbait for what they're doing, which
Right.
is, props to them. They're playing the game. It's rage bait. Like you're just trying to make people upset because some dude presented graphs yesterday in one of his arguments, and he pointed out a shift between the 23 season and the 24 season in reference to where the Big Ten or where College Game Day visited in terms of like conference breakdown. And
Mhm.
it was it's pretty close to like a probably a essentially a 60-40 split with a little bit mixed in there in
Mhm.
terms of SEC and Big Ten with all the extra. That if you don't if you can't recognize the change that happened between the 23 and 24 season and why that may have affected the overlay of how many conferences they visited, I can't help you. It doesn't make any sense. There's an obvious shift where all of the power shifted into two conferences, and so in the game that College Game Day and every other TV show is, you're in a ratings game. Like you're gonna go where there's ratings. I get it. The Holy War, that's cool and all. That's not ESPN's territory. ESPN wasn't. If you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't believe ESPN was carrying the Holy War. I think that was
No, it's on Fox.
yeah. So,
So if you want to be pissed off at Fox because they could have taken Big Noon there.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, like Big Noon has turned into they're at UCLA and
Mhm.
God, who is UCLA playing in Indiana this week? They're at
Right.
UCLA and Indiana this week. Like oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that was such a great and big game. Like we're telling the story. Everybody's upset with these places that they're repeating. This is the second time Big Noon's been to Indiana this year. Like I it's purely people that have put their blinders on and said, I'm going to be mad about something because I don't like the way ESPN is covering my conference. Guess what? They're not paid to cover your conference. Fox is paid to cover your conference.
Mhm.
You don't like that, take it up with the Big Ten because that's who they did their media rights deal with. If you want to hear all about the Big Ten and this parade of, oh, fantastic Big Ten,
Mhm.
because that's what the Fox Big Noon kickoff is, then go turn on Fox.
Mhm. It's from a programmer standpoint, which I've been for a number of years, and working actually both with the SEC and the Big Ten. I can honestly tell you that this may not come as a surprise, but the conference has a lot to say in where their media partners go. And, they'll give you some latitude, right? So if ESPN says, you know what, this week the big game, a big game is. Remember when Dion opened? I forget who they opened with. Back when he first started coaching a couple years ago, when the Pac-12 was actually still in existence, I think at that time. Um, they opened, but both Big Noon and ESPN were on, in Boulder for that game.
I I think if I remember correctly, it was after Dion beat TCU. I think it was actually game 2, their first
Okay,
home game in Folsom.
right, fair enough.
I
But
don't
yeah,
remember what it was.
okay, but it was Dion, and it was and he was the toast of college football at the time. They both showed up at the same place. Um, Believe me when I tell you that the Big Ten is going to not be real pleased that ESPN shows up because they don't air the games. And so showing up and promoting it doesn't help Fox, or it doesn't help, NBC, or it doesn't help CBS, all of whom have spent a lot of money on the Big Ten. And so, if I'm the SEC and I see, you know, game day promoting the Big Ten, I'm not happy. So you got to. This is a partnership, okay? ACC, Big 12, SEC all have ESPN ties, okay?
Mhm.
Fox has an ESPN. I'm sorry, Fox has a tie to the Big 12, and they own the Big 10. All right, you're not going to get a lot of big Fox Big Noon somewhere, in SEC or ACC country. It's not going to happen,
No.
and you shouldn't. And I'm saying it right now. I don't give a damn. Who cares? If you should not be on the campus of any place where you aren't showing the broadcast. That is not the process of what you do. You know, it's almost as if ESPN, and look, game day and Big Noon, great. If it makes you feel good to have them on campus, outstanding. God love you. But I don't. I personally do not tune into pregame shows as a rule, because they literally do not tell me anything that I can't find out without them telling. So they don't break
No.
news on
Yeah.
those shows. Those shows are entertainment value, okay?
Yep.
And frankly, if you, I, God love him. I know I have worked with and known Lee Corso a large portion of my life. The opening day that he showed up on game day, he said to the producers, "This is showbiz, okay? This isn't
Mhm.
college sports, it's showbiz. And we need to present it that way." And that's exactly what ESPN did. Now, is that bad? No.
Nope.
There's nothing wrong with what Lee said. I mean, Lee got famous for doing stupid things like putting head, when he made the choice of whose head he's going to put on. Which,
Yep.
by the way, the first time they did it was Herb Street's. It was they were at Ohio State. He wanted to put Brutus the Buckeye's head on.
Mhm.
The mascot wouldn't allow it. Herb Street's wife was involved with the cheerleading squad, and so they went to the athletic director, and they figured out, okay, we have two Brutus heads, so all right, Brutus can keep his head. We'll give one to Lee.
Mhm.
It's become a fun thing. It's become and as I said, an entertainment vehicle. You don't get a lot of inside information on what's going on. I'll tell you what, if you want to watch a network, and it's free, okay, where you're going to get that, go to CBS HQ.
Mhm.
Those guys do an amazing job. Those guys and women do an amazing job of explaining what's going on in college football. And they do it, in a not glamorous way. They don't have a studio. They just bounce back and forth. between their place in Stamford, Connecticut, and guys and women reporters all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to know what's going on, that's where you go. It's free. You can download it to your phone. If you have streaming video television, you can download the HQ app there. That's where if you really 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 want to know, that's where it is. Now, my first job in this business was a pregame show for the University of Florida. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that pregame show was at half an hour, and we had to fight to get that. So you can see where things have gone, uh, these days, from the early days of this to what we're seeing now. And I think anybody who is bitching about, well, they're at SEC, well, yeah, you know what? How much money is the SEC getting from ESPN? A lot of money. The ACC, Big 12, absolutely. But you want to argue about one over the other? That's just ludicrous.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, like, and I get it. Like, you want this show that's supposed to be a national college football show, like that is what their branding is. For as much as they do go to the SEC, that is technically what their branding is. But they
Mm-hmm.
want this show just like they're upset this week because ESPN or Game Day had a chance to go to North Dakota State versus South Dakota State. 1-2 in FCS, big game. They've been there like I think it's 4 times for
Yeah.
that game in recent memory. The last
Mm-hmm.
time they went to Vanderbilt, it wasn't even 2010 yet, if I remember correctly. Like,
Yeah.
it's
It was.
been forever since they've been to Vanderbilt. And
Mm-hmm.
like I get it. It's still another SEC game, and that's what people point to. But look at the amount of time. Like, it's been a while since they've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's people's argument for why they should have went to the Holy War last week or whatever. But I just think people have like this jaded view of what they think it should be, and it never will be that again because of the shifts that you've had in college
Mm-hmm.
football. Like, you're never gonna like turn on game day and now it's going to the Big 12 or now it's going to the Pac 12 because there's no more Pac 12. The Big 12's biggest brands, they're in the SEC now. Like if you want to be upset at somebody for the way that college game day has changed, quote unquote, changed over the years, be mad at conference realignment. Be mad at the Big Ten and the SEC, both of them, because they tore those conferences apart. Like, they took your biggest brands, they took your best games out of those conferences, and now college game day is either going to the Big Ten where they're promoting a Fox football game, or they're going to the SEC. And on top of all this other stuff, for every single Big Ten game thus far this year,
Mm-hmm.
he's been there. And I don't understand. And if for again all this up in arms, I guarantee you that this week, right now, college game day already had this week. They thought they had this thing pinned down. Like,
Mm-hmm.
preseason, they thought they knew where they were going because Penn State and Ohio State played this weekend.
Right.
That didn't happen. Penn State fell off the cliff. But I
Right.
guarantee you, if Penn State had stayed on the trajectory and not lost these games that they were supposed
Mm-hmm.
to win, guess where game day would probably be? They would probably be in the Big Ten promoting a Fox football game. If
Right.
I'm guessing.
In Columbus.
Yeah.
In the same place, by the way, that Fox would be.
Yep. Yeah. And like that would be the second time they've been to Columbus. They, they go to Columbus they're upset at these repeat destinations. They feel like they visit Athens, Tuscaloosa, Columbus, like year in, year out. But that's where the biggest games are. That's where the best games are. And like, I know it's storytelling, but you don't have to be on a campus to tell a good story. They show that every week. Every week they have these 5 to 10 minute stories that they run.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, they aren't from the college campus. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they go out and they find these stories and they still tell them. They're just not telling them in the place that you want them to tell them. And that's where your problem is because you've created this preconceived notion that everybody hates the Big Ten. There's such it. I struggle because I don't like bringing this into it,
Mhm.
But it feels like the same way it is with the political climate. Is like there's no
Mhm.
middle ground. Everybody's got to be so far to one side or the other. It feels like it's the same way in terms of like if you're SEC, you're SEC all the way. If you're Big Ten,
Mhm.
you're Big Ten all the way. You can't just enjoy college football anymore. You got to pick a side.
Right. Well, I guarantee you that, you brought up North Dakota and South Dakota stuff. There is no reason why they can't have, and probably will have, someone out there who will do an 8 to 10 minute pitch on what's going on out there.
Yep.
Now, are they physically in North or South Dakota? No,
No.
they don't have to. The hell, they could be in a studio in Bristol,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
That's how
or
they did it. That's how
for
they did it
years.
for a while.
Yeah. So, this on campus stuff, the on campus stuff. All right, let's really get into the business aspect, and we got a lot to cover, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll just break this up real quick. Why do they do it? Because they have sponsors. Sponsors want to be where the action is. Okay. But if I'm a sponsor, okay, and you've got me roped into SEC, ACC, and Big 12, money, right? That's where I'm spending my money. I don't have a store
Mm-hmm.
in some of these places, or I don't have the coverage in some of these places. Or if I'm an alumni and you got me because, my ad agency, got 17 calls from Georgia or Florida or whomever, to go ahead and this is who we want, who, sponsor ESPN football, then, you've got sponsors to get mad. You
Mm-hmm.
get, administrators who are upset. So, at the end of the day, there's a lot that goes into deciding this that has absolutely nothing to do with football.
Yeah. I, and I go back because we talked about it at nauseum, but the people that are upset that game day is going to the SEC
Mhm.
like every week, these are the exact same people that were upset with the BCS model. They were upset with the 14 playoff, and now we're stuck with 12 teams. And what was the greatest regular season in sports has now been essentially watered down.
Mhm.
So, like just because the general masses don't get something or don't understand something doesn't mean that wholesale changes need to be made. Not everybody. The thing that made college football great before was not everybody deserved a seat at the table. Not everybody got into that playoff or that BCS. Like it was something that you really had to work for, and every game was leveraged on and mattered. And all of these this general populace had this notion, and again, it was something that I think was created by TV executives and advertisers, and obviously athletic directors and conferences. Like, hey, we need more. We need to be more inclusive and more like that's what it comes back to. You wanted to be inclusive of those teams. Now you want to be inclusive of all these other teams, which is fine. There are stories that should be told, and there are good places that probably deserve visits from time to time when they're having an up season. But guess what? This week in particular, Vanderbilt deserves a visit. They're having an up season. I know everybody thinks of them last year as like this heartwarming story and what a good football team. They were 6-6 last year. They've
Mhm.
matched their win total from last year already. They're having a really good season. They're a top 10 team in the country. Can you tell
Mhm.
me the last time Vanderbilt was top 10 in the country? It's been a while. So like you get upset. This is a story worth telling. This is not gonna I like what Clark Lee has done there. Like Vanderbilt has done really good. This is not a program that's necessarily built to sustain. They've found flash in the pan in terms of the
Mhm.
talent they have in their roster. Not saying that they'll just go back to being god awful again, but
Mhm.
the level of good that they are this year isn't sustainable for a program like Vanderbilt.
No, and you mentioned Indiana, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason why Indiana, isn't going to get some love from Fox and from other networks, because that's a story that's Vanderbilt type story.
Mm-hmm.
It's they the university, the athletic departments bought into the concept of, what, we're going to put our resources here and see how it works.
Yep.
And sometimes when you take gambles like that, they pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And for Vanderbilt and for Indiana, it's paid off. And to me, it goes back to like we were talking about Major League Baseball and other places where people don't spend. And you get pissed off because, how come they don't spend? Well, because they're making money. Well, okay. In the case of Vanderbilt, believe me when I tell you, they are excited that football is doing well, but the general populace of the school, you don't go to school at Vanderbilt because they got a good football team. You
Mm-hmm.
don't go to Indiana because they got a good football team. The fact that these institutions have invested in there and paying off shows you that those are athletic departments that are run properly.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know that it doesn't matter whether we win football games or lose football games. Our student body is not going to change, and the way that our academics is not going to change, the way that we market the school is not going to change. It's just a nice thing to have
Mm-hmm.
in investing in this, and they're investing in it for the benefit of they can afford to do it because they put together a well-run from top to bottom. I mean, you go look at Vanderbilt's other sports, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Vanderbilt from top to bottom in other sports they're fine. They put
Mm-hmm.
competitive teams out on every sport every year.
Yeah.
Indiana, same way.
Yep.
So why should it surprise anybody that okay, they put a little bit more effort into the football program and it pays off. It pays off because they know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
So
I
don't penalize them for the fact that you don't think they're that good.
yeah. I do have a quick hypothetical on Indiana, just because just something I thought about. Do you think that Indiana fans as a whole would, because their basketball program
Mhm.
hasn't been what Indiana standards are? Do you
No.
think they would trade their success on the football field if they could have that kind of success on the basketball court?
Do I think the fans?
Yeah,
Um, I think the answer to that question would be yes.
that's kind of the feeling I had, but I was curious to get
All
another.
you have to do is go to Alumni Hall on the campus in Bloomington,
Yeah.
and you walk in the door, and it's like you're going into a church.
That
Um,
I mean, that is like the hallmark. It feels like a hallmark of like you can tell which sports matter to which schools. Because like
mhm.
I remember when I took a trip out to Ohio State, it feels like I won't. The entrance that I was going in is the big opening with all the stained glass and
Yeah.
stuff. Like it feels like you're entering a cathedral type
Hmm.
deal. Like that's these programs, like the programs that prioritize basketball, same thing. Like
Hmm.
it goes both ways, but those programs that really you can tell they either are or have been at the top of the sport. Like you can feel it when you walk into their stadiums, whether that be football or basketball.
I'll tell you right now that my first trip to Cameron Indoor Arena, I literally went in with a suit and tie. Um, it was that kind of experience. You just felt like, no, I can't disrespect going in this building. Same way, by the way, at Pauley Pavilion on the campus of UCLA in Westwood.
Mm-hmm.
You walk in there and you
Yeah,
see banners hanging from all over the place, and you're literally walking into what in essence is a living, breathing museum.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that Indiana and UCLA, it's those are things where basketball for many years outshine football, regardless of how talented some of those football teams used to be.
yeah,
Um, and the converse of that is Penn State, because for years Joe Pa wouldn't allow them. He basically tanked their basketball program because he didn't want the basketball program to have any of the luster that the football program had.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're still they're still feeling that, like, that
Yeah,
basketball.
they're trying to dig out of that hole, and that's a hole that's been there
Yeah.
for 50 years.
Like, they bounce around. They play in different arenas.
Mm-hmm.
They play in two different places from time to time at Penn State
Yeah.
when it comes to basketball. Well, all is that there this weekend in college football is one that the fans that I was speaking of, the more
Mm-hmm.
outward facing ones that make these broad generalizations, they hate these kind of weekends. There's 3 top 25 matchups in total. That's it.
Yep.
And I think there's one in every window. So,
Yeah.
for the people that like watching one game, congratulations. Like, you get your
You
one game.
got it. Yeah.
But underneath the surface, there is a lot of really good football and potential chaos that looms behind it.
Mm-hmm. You got tonight. We'll go through the games and real quick and check out which ones are worth watching. Columbia Dartmouth. That's of course an Ivy League game that kicks off at 6 p.m. on ESPNU. North Texas at Charlotte. That's an American game that kicks off in the Deuce ESPN2. California at Virginia Tech. That's a 7:30 game on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
Boise State, who still has hopes for being that group of 6 representative, is at Nevada, and Montana takes on Sacramento State in the nightcap at 10:30, and that game is on ESPN2.
Yeah, two things that I want to touch on just on this Friday slate. First off, that Montana and Sacramento State game. There's a lot more underlying in that game. Like, I know it's FCS football and that not as many people are going to pay attention. Those programs do not like each other right now.
Right.
There's a lot of shit talk this week between those programs, like a lot. I think the AD threw some shots at Montana football, so Montana's AD tossed some shots back. Like, they really don't like. I'm sure they didn't like each other before, just as rivalries go, but they really don't like each other this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, Cal and Virginia Tech, it's the perfect embodiment. I guarantee you, there's going to be, and I don't know, like, I'm not predicting that Virginia Tech's going to win this football game, but you look at the line, Virginia Tech's -6.5. Virginia Tech's 2-5, Cal's 5-2. There's going to be a lot of people that see that and go, I'm taking Cal. Like, they just look at the records. Like, and for as much as I've talked about Jaren Kiawe-Sagapalote throughout this entire season, because I think he will be that good, but he is still a freshman. He tends to make a good amount of mistakes. So if, I'll be honest and tell you that they don't have a reason to, but if they can make Laine Stadium what Laine Stadium should be at night with Enter Sandman and all that stuff, I think Virginia Tech will win this football game, and there's going to be a lot of people that lose money on Cal tonight.
Well, for many years, and we're going back now to Beamer when he used to coach there, no one on the planet wanted to go play at Blacksburg.
Mm-mm.
It was, they knew in some regards, like West Virginia, they knew that the crowd, regardless of who they play, and I'll give them that, regardless of who they play, Virginia Tech, that place is full every damn week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They support their team in ways that others don't.
Yep.
And it's going to be a hell situation for Cal because I don't think they've ever played, in an atmosphere where, it's not a big stadium. Okay. It's like about a 50,000 seat stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's like a very uncomfortable place to be if you're the opponent.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be very uncomfortable tonight for Cal. And we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But it's definitely there. There's one other thing, and we talked about just for a second. You mentioned, what was it? Sacramento and Sacramento State, Montana.
Sacramento State and Montana, yeah.
Okay, those are two teams that are trying to work their way into the Pac whatever the pack is going to be called, 12, whatever, or the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Sacramento State has really put a lot of money into rebuilding their stadium. They're doing everything that they can possibly do to get relevant.
Yep.
And so Montana's doing the same thing. So this is actually, and we'll touch on a game in a few minutes, where this is not just a football game. This is a statement on who is moving forward and who is getting left behind.
Yeah. Just quick little synopsis of what Sacramento State has been doing in order to gain their relevancy. Their current head coach is Brennan Marion. He was with the former regime at UNLV, responsible for really the explosion of that UNLV offense.
Right.
He's currently their head coach. They went out and they got Jaden Rashada, a former four-star, highly four-star, embattled four-star. I would describe him as with all of the moves that he's made throughout the years. But he's currently their quarterback. In basketball, Mike Bibby's their head coach. Like they're making moves to try to push themselves into relevancy, and they're putting the funds where they should be.
Well, they spent $200 million on their stadium upgrade.
Yeah,
that's Sacramento State, folks. We're not, it's and Montana has always fielded a very respectable football program, and they want to get some love from some of these other conferences. So realignment never changes. Okay, it just causes other people to want to be part of the party.
Yep.
And there's so many context things going on here tonight with Montana and Sacramento State that there is more than just who wins this football game, because whoever wins this football game could very well be taking the next step to another level into another conference.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give you, before we really dive into the bigger games and more of the entirety of the slate, I'm gonna give you my big upset for the week.
Okay.
I think Mississippi State beats Texas this week. I've been out on Texas for really since the first game. I was not a fan. I thought Arch would get better so far, and so far he really hasn't. Every road test Arch Manning has faced this year, he has failed. Miserably failed. Ohio State, F. At Florida, F. I know they won it last week, but at Kentucky, F. Like he's failing every test. Not only, I'm gonna go way out on a limb here. Not only do I think they lose this week, I think they lose 3 games in a row. I think they lose this week. They go home. They lose to Vanderbilt next week. And then once they get to Georgia, they lose that game too.
The problem with that, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just throwing out a hypothetical in that one, is who's going to get the blame. They lose 3 games. Is the blame going on, Sarkisian, or is the blame going on Arch Manning?
To be honest with you, I think it's a nice combination where they get to share the blame and face the media backlash together.
I'm not talking about the media backlash. I'm talking about the amount of money that Texas invests in football.
I mean, I think if that does happen and they lose those 3 games, I have a sneaking suspicion that Steve Sarkisian will have a meeting with the Texas brass and will probably have a offensive coordinator next year, if I was guessing. I think Arch Manning will probably receive a good bit of the blame because of what Steve Sarkisian, what his track record has been with offenses and the ability and how well he's done offensively throughout the years. So it's very easy to look and go well, listen, one big thing changed and now we don't have an offense. And I also think that the way this season's gone, a lot of people owe Quinn Ewers a lot of apologies. Because I mean they were ready to toss him to the wolves when they made it to the college football playoff semifinal just because he wasn't good enough. He didn't have the wheels that Arch Manning had. Everybody wanted the backup to come in. that seems to be a lot of places too. Like if things aren't going well, everybody's like, well, why don't we give the backup a shot? Well, 9 times out of 10, just because Alabama did it and they won a national championship,
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, the guy sitting on the bench is sitting on the bench for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they've just blindly been like, well, yeah, we think this guy's better, but he's been here a while and I don't really care about my job, so we're going to play the worst quarterback.
Yeah, I have one other observation. I think it's 50-50 that Arch Manning enters the portal.
I think it would have to be from outside sources though. Like I really do think he wants to be at Texas and like he likes Texas, and I also think that the Manning family also has a very good understanding of the way college sports are ran and the optics around certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they would want to pull the trigger on a transfer move unless they felt like they had to. And I say they because I do feel like Arch Manning's decision making is very much a team decision in terms of
there's no question about it. I mean, there's no question that Eli and Peyton and his father all are heavily involved in everything that that goes into this.
mm-hmm.
But I'm also just thinking that I don't know, and nobody knows, that it's going to get any better.
Yeah. I mean, I think the scenario that I laid out, if that happens, and say they were to lose one more, say they were to lose to Texas A&M at the end of that schedule, or Arkansas, they lose these 3 in a row, and then they lose one of their last 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the situation. I think that's the likely situation where you'd look at it and go, all right, something's got to change, like wholesale, something's got to change here. And I will say, I think if they did make a change
mm-hmm.
in terms of deciding to move, the first 2 places you're looking are right now. Right now is a very key term because one of these places there's obvious movement that could be coming. But you look at the alma maters of the uncles, like that's
Mm-hmm.
where they stand now. You got 2 guys that are heralded as offensive geniuses,
Mm-hmm.
still in the SEC, and in places that like. Well, Trinidad Chambliss will probably still be there,
Mm-hmm.
but I think Joey Aguilar is a senior. I could be wrong, but I would say those are probably 2 places that you're looking at in terms of destinations. Obviously, that's not something that they would just like narrow in on if that decision was made.
I think Peyton and Eli have long been buddies with Lane Kiffin.
Mm-hmm.
And he's at Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Grandfather went to Ole Miss, uncle went to Ole Miss, and dad went to Ole Miss. It might not be such a bad idea if we're looking at offensive geniuses.
Yeah.
And we both still think that that Kiffin will stay at Ole Miss.
Yes.
That's just so tempting to me. To it's kind of, if I'm Eli and Peyton, I get the part you're talking about. You don't want the optics, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also get the idea that what if we go to Ole Miss? He is he's the top dog with regard to they will basically elevate him to almost sainthood. And then he comes back at Ole Miss with Kiffin and beats Texas.
Yeah. Oh man, they would lose it. I do have a question, is because Trinidad Chambliss is a just pure senior, straight up senior, and
Right.
the way the NCAA is, if he really wanted an extra year of eligibility, he can probably get it. I know Austin Simmons isn't a senior.
Right.
What if Arch Manning transfers in and he's not the best quarterback on that roster and Lane Kiffin knows it?
Then Lane Kiffin won't start him.
Yeah. Because I think that's very much like if you lined, I don't know as much about Austin Simmons because he had a pretty rough start to the year.
Mm-hmm.
But if you lined all 3 of them up right now, I'm taking Trinidad Chambliss over the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
right now. So
Right.
that's that. But we're living in
I'm just saying a change of scenery might be the key to making it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's
You
a
know,
lot left to be played, so we'll figure
yeah.
that one out.
Yeah. We're having fun in hypothetical world right now.
Right. Yeah. Let's jump to the 12 o'clock games. Ole Miss and Oklahoma. That's
Mhm.
that's two ranked opponents against each other. That's ABC. That's noon. That's Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy.
Mhm.
You got UCLA, as we talked about earlier, making the trip to Bloomington to face the number 2 Indiana Hoosiers. By the way, not just curiosity situation. The last 3 weeks, we've had 3 number 2. Indiana's our third number 2 team. The number 2 spot has not been favorable to to the home teams.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying UCLA is going to win, but it's kind of funny. Will Indiana be able to be number 2 and survive?
What I will say in reference to this game, and by no
Mhm.
means am I picking UCLA.
Right.
I'm simply pointing out 25.5 is a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
There's been this like seemingly cultural shift over there with UCLA and their football team, and all of a sudden they're better now, like just magically somehow. Um, so so and people have this notion that when Indiana went on the road and they beat Oregon on the road, which
Mm-hmm.
was the best win in college football this year, hands down, bar none, best win in college football this year. I don't think there's particularly a close second. That they are some unbeatable force. That's not the case with Indiana. Like they're the way college football is, and the way the clock is, and some of the talent dispersion, like coaching matters, and Signetti's great at it, but they're gettable. 25.5 is a lot. I think UCLA at least covers this weekend.
I agree. I think it'll be a lot closer than people may think. And
And
while
it
I
very
don't,
well could happen.
yeah, I honestly, like you, we're talking about with Indiana. I'm. It wouldn't stun me if UCLA went in there and won.
Yeah.
4 weeks ago, I would have laughed I would have laughed at that idea.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a whole different philosophy.
Like this season is very much like '07 in terms
Right.
of the way these top 10 teams are falling. And I feel like we said this like people talked about it last year too. But
Mm-hmm.
man, like it feels now more than ever like you really don't know. Like you can bank on some things that you think you know, but any given Saturday, what you think you know cannot be true at all. It,
I'll be honest with you. I have no idea who the best college football team is.
yeah, like yeah, Ohio State's been really good. They've been really good. They've handled their competition the correct way, and like they've soundly beaten pretty much every team they've played. That being said, a really bad Texas team lost to them by 7. So I struggle because they say like get to the real test, and again, all credit is due to Ohio State because they have handled their business.
Mm-hmm.
But again, pretending like Ohio State is some shoe-in world beater just going to waltz to the title again it's not true at all. Like the reason Ohio State won that title last year was like the way they were able to galvanize and come together as a team. Like they won that national title, and yet they still could have lost those games. Like they could have lost to Texas, they could have lost to Notre Dame. Both of those games were one-score games in the second half. Like they're games that were losable for Ohio State. So for as world beater and as much talent as they had and have this year,
Mm-hmm.
the way college football is now, anybody can get got. And so
Yeah.
even if you think they are heads and shoulders above everybody, sometimes sometimes somebody's going to walk in there with a bat and knock you down eye to eye.
Yep. No question about it. Noon in Memphis, Tennessee. USF takes on Memphis. Now, this is important to me. It may not be important to anybody else. However,
It should be important to everybody else.
Yeah, it should be. But here's where this becomes important to me. USF and Memphis are in an arms race to see if they can move to a P4 conference.
Mm-hmm.
Getting there, and showing up is important. USF is the 18th ranked team in the country. They come in with Byron Brown, and Memphis is not sure who their quarterback's going to be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, when Memphis beat USF, a lot of people forget it was the week after Hurricane Milton had come.
Mm-hmm.
The reason the game was played in Orlando at
Camping World.
Yeah, at Camping World. I was going to say it wasn't played on UCF's campus. It was played at Camping World. The South Florida team went over early because they couldn't practice on the practice fields because they were underwater. And the mental situation, Byron Brown wasn't playing at that point. He'd been injured.
Mm-hmm.
The mental situation was that they were calling constantly back to, family and friends who were back in the Bay Area, bailing out of what was a pretty damn solid catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
That is not me making excuses for them losing last year to Memphis. But what I am saying is USF wants to become a P4 school, and they're spending a lot of money, and they're doing it, with the hiring a Golish and doing everything they can do.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't said a word. They haven't been out campaigning. They haven't done any of that. You've had Memphis who attempted to put $250 million on the table
Mm-hmm.
for the Big 12 to take them.
Mm-hmm.
And they got turned down. They have been bitching and moaning for the last 8 years about how they deserve to be in a Power 4 conference. I have nothing against Memphis, but you're not helping yourself.
No.
They need to they need to keep winning on the field. Can they beat USF? Absolutely. There's no question about it. But this one, as we talked about, the subtext being Sacramento and State and Montana, that's the subtext that's here, only on a much higher level.
Yeah.
If USF wins this game, or Memphis wins this game, that gives them an inside track. Don't forget Tulane's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And Navy's not a bad football team.
Yep.
So, but for the moment, it gives them an inside track to a playoff spot. And that is incredibly important from the G6 standpoint. So if you're a G6 fan or a fan of football, this game could be very entertaining.
Yeah. Navy is not a bad. They're 6-0 right now. Navy is. Next two games, FAU and North Texas, but then they get to Notre Dame, South Florida, Memphis, and then finally they cap off with Army. I like for as much as I like Navy and I think they're a good football team, there's a couple losses probably lurking there in that back half of the schedule if they're being honest with themselves. In terms of I would like South Florida to win this football game just because I still am of the belief that Tulane and South Florida are the two best football teams in the American Conference, and I would like to see them play in the American Championship because they don't play in the regular season.
Right.
That's not a matchup that you're getting, and Memphis doesn't exactly have an inside track right now, especially if they lose this game. They've got 2 conference losses. The hope is that when Tulane and Memphis played, even if Memphis beats Tulane, that Tulane loss is out of conference. So they still only have 1 conference loss. They'd still have the inside track. So I would like to get that game at the end of the year personally because it's all likelihood that's going to be your G5 bid is this American Conference champion, assuming that they don't cannibalize each other somehow.
Right.
So, and just to be frankly honest with you, I think South Florida is the best G5 team in the country this year. Like just the way they're built and the way they've performed. I know they had their one loss was they had a clunker there in Miami. It wasn't a great game. But I just think they are. I don't really have one thing in particular to point to, but the best resume builder is to beat the best teams in your conference. And if Tulane were to make it to that championship game and South Florida were to win it, there's no disputing. Like they owned the American Conference. They were far and away the best team in the American Conference. Nobody can sit there and go, well, they didn't have to play us. So I think it's really nice because that would round out their resume the best.
I agree. I mean, we can sit here and talk about USF in Memphis, but you can't not talk about Tulane.
Mm-hmm.
And in fairness, Tulane, has done, has been a good football program now for 4 straight years.
Yeah, John Summerall is really good,
and he's done an amazing job.
Yeah,
and he's recruited there, which is not an easy thing to do.
If this tells you how good John Summerall is, people are currently trying to fire Hugh Freeze so they can hire John Summerall. Like that's very much something that's happening with a lot of fans. They're like, come, please come. We need somebody. Something.
Don't give us this dog that we got now.
Yeah, I don't know what
it's going to be a fun game, and we'll see. And I think that Alex Golish is just chomping at the bit to get this game.
Yep.
He wanted it last year, and he didn't have his players. And as I said, it wasn't the best of all circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the case this time around.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be good. And as I said before, whoever wins this game has the entire track. But I still think if you want to count, I'm biased when it comes to South Florida. That being said, I still think Tulane's better than Memphis.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in agreement on that. I like the makeup of Tulane, and I trust Tulane in the bigger and closer games. I will say on the topic of Auburn trying to get Hugh Freeze out and John Summerall in, they are playing in what is the prime candidate for ugliest football game of the week this weekend.
Okay.
They are playing at Arkansas. So you've got 3-4 Auburn traveling to 2-5 Arkansas. They are expecting rain throughout the entire game and about 10 to 20 mile an hour winds throughout the entirety of the game as well. So if the teams on the football field weren't bad enough, the weather's also going to be bad. And this thing is just going to be nasty on Saturday at 12:45.
Yeah. Let's jump to the 3:30 window. Alabama, South Carolina. That's the ABC game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Texas A&M at LSU is the night game on ABC.
Mm-hmm.
The primetime game.
I have something on that Alabama South Carolina game that maybe people like when you think about Kalen DeBoer and his time at Alabama, and you think back to the road struggles last year.
Mm-hmm.
The road struggles last year came against teams that they shouldn't have struggled on the road against.
Right.
Like you look back at their schedule last year, like LSU was a really good football team last year. When they went on the road to LSU at night, mind you, they pounded LSU. Like LSU wasn't really in that football game all that much. They beat them. But when Bama has gone on the road under Kalen DeBoer against teams that they should beat, they don't. They just don't beat them. They didn't beat Vanderbilt last year. They didn't beat Oklahoma last year. They didn't beat Florida State this year. And now you're staring down the barrel. You're going on the road to South Carolina, a really tough place to play, and a team that has Lenore Sellers. And I get what Lenore Sellers has been, but again, if he is right and he plays as good a game as I know Lenore Sellers can play, this is a spot where Alabama can win. And if you're an Alabama fan and you're like, man, I'm feeling really good about this team, like it looks like Kalen DeBoer might have finally figured it out, and it feels like they've kind of got things rolling. You want to find out if they've got things rolling? Go win this game on Saturday, because these are the ones that you've lost while he's been your head coach.
Right. The NBC primetime game in the Big Ten is Michigan State. Um,
Yuck.
I will be watching Shohei Ohtani at that point in time. So good luck, boys.
Yeah.
The ESPN, late primetime game is Stanford at Miami. That I don't know what to think about about that game.
That's
It's if Miami doesn't win that game, that's gonna go down. That I honestly thought was the mulligan coming up for Miami. I thought that I looked at Stanford Miami a couple weeks ago when Miami was rolling, and I thought, okay, this is the kind of game where Miami is just gonna look. It's so funny. For many years, the athletic department and university at Miami said that they wanted to be the Stanford of the East, which was not that was actually a very good concept, right? You've got a good academic university that can mix sports with the academics. So it's not like it wouldn't have been isn't a good thing to strive for. Now they're playing each other. so the Stanford of the West is playing what they hope, my University of Miami, academically, is the Stanford of the East. So this is what they wanted. So good on them, they got it. But I do think if you're looking at A&M, LSU, Michigan State, Stanford, Miami, North Dakota, South Dakota State, all of those teams, maybe in aggregate, if you add it all together, then maybe they'll beat the ratings. But I do believe the Dodgers and the Blue Jays will have their way on Saturday night.
Yeah. And that the one thing I have about Miami is what are they doing with their uniforms this week? They are going with a full camo uniform.
What?
And I, for the life of me, cannot understand it.
What are they doing?
It is head to toe camo helmets, camo jerseys, camo pants, all the way through. The only thing that is distinguishable as to they are Miami is the logo on the side of the helmet and the logo on the collar.
Good Lord.
Other than that, they look like they're gearing up to go play in that Army Navy game there at the end of the year.
And even they don't play in camo uniforms.
Yeah, and they still break out something better than that.
Right.
I saw one comment that said it was something along the lines of like, "Oh, great, Beck couldn't find the receivers when they were wearing our colors. Now how's he going to find them?"
Right. Oh Lord. I mean, it takes you back to Jimmy Johnson, right? But that wasn't. They didn't wear camo uniforms. They wore the camo to get to the place. I mean, it wasn't. Wasn't something like that. That's straight up crazy.
Yeah, which maybe that's what they're calling on. Maybe that's the reason they've got I really don't know. The theory
they're
that
not traveling though, they're staying home. I don't understand that part.
Yeah, the theory that I'll always have is like when a team feels like they need a boost in like the program and like something to get the fans excited.
Yeah,
they whip out a New Jersey, like because coming off that loss to Louisville, now you're playing Stanford at night. Like something's got to get the people in the building, and God knows they have a hard enough time as it is regularly getting people in that building. So this is it. Like I think my favorite example is I go back to 2020 in Georgia. They had just lost to Florida. That was their second loss of the season. They knew they were out of the playoffs. They weren't winning the East. They came home and they had a night game against Mississippi State. What did Kirby Smart do? Black jerseys. First time since 2016, black jerseys.
Okay.
And rolled out the red carpet, got black jerseys, got subbed in a new quarterback, just something to like make people go like, hey guys, like I know we haven't accomplished the goals that we're going to, but like let's look ahead. Let's look forward.
Let's work forward. Yeah.
So
all right, let's flip it over to the National Football League. Your Sunday night games, we'll just get this stuff out of the way. Your Sunday night game is going to be Green Bay against Pittsburgh, and that game's going to be played in Pittsburgh. One real quick thing I have to mention, because you were talking about uniforms. I thought that the Minnesota Vikings were playing the Savannah Bananas the other day. Those all yellow Charger uniforms should be burned quickly.
Yeah, the all yellow ones are rough.
I mean, I could. It was. I was getting vertigo. It's like, good Lord, how I better be in an inclined position because that yellow almost makes me as sick as the Seahawks. All green,
Oh, those lime
those
greens.
lime green
They were doing the color.
highlighter type jerseys.
Yeah.
Man, that's gonna
Yeah.
that's harsh. Okay.
Well, that was the entire of that Nike Color Rush,
Yeah.
that entire era. That was what they were doing. They had as much color as they could possibly get in
Yeah.
those
The
things.
monochrome. Here it is, boys and girls.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like I remember Tampa's all red. LA had
yeah.
the Rams. The Rams had a very similar Savannah Bananas look to them,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. So yeah, the Chargers do need to go away with that jersey.
Yeah.
They've done some good things with their jerseys.
Right. But burn
Always,
that.
always gonna love the powder blue.
Yeah.
Put those away. Put them in a locker. Leave them
Right.
there. Like that's there are some jerseys.
We don't need to see that again, please. Yeah.
Like the Florida when they went with that gator skin jersey.
Oh God. Yeah.
Back in like 2018, that was horrible. I don't know who saw that in person on a model and we were like, yeah,
This is what we want.
we need this on the football field. So
exactly.
it's rough.
Here's the CBS games: Chicago at Baltimore. Iron Eagle J.J. Watts should be entertaining afternoon down at M&T Bank Stadium. We don't know at this point whether Lamar Jackson is going to play. He has warmed up. He's practiced, but whether he. I don't know that he's even a game time decision. He listed as questionable right now.
Yep.
I would be surprised if he did play, but
he practiced today.
Yeah. So maybe, but we'll see what Chicago's got up their sleeve. Down the street from you, Atlanta hosts the Miami Dolphins. Kevin Harlan and Trent Green on that call. Atlanta at home, probably you had mentioned the other day that they played well at the Dome. So, and Miami is just absolutely a basket case.
Yep.
So this should be a win for Atlanta.
You would hope so.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah.
And Joe, you can call me Joe 4-touchdown Flacco, is at home against a Jets team that seemingly has given up on the season and they don't know who they're going to play quarterback.
Not only have they does it feel like they've given up on the season being 0-7?
Yeah.
They got some problems, like legitimate problems when it comes to you. People have talked about it. When you're a really bad football team for a really long time, there's generally one place that you can place the blame. And it's not anybody that's getting hired. It's the person who owns the football team. And for Woody Johnson to come out and be very critical, like Aaron Glenn got up to the podium and had to answer questions about Woody Johnson's statements. And I feel like he's been outspoken a lot about his football team, especially in recent years. But Woody Johnson just got out there and at whatever fundraising event or whatever he was at, basically just said, hey, Justin Fields has been awful this season. How do you expect us to win games when he's that bad? What are we doing? I know you're 0-7. I get it. It's okay to not be happy. Don't go tear apart the only hope you have at quarterback because your backup's Tyrod Taylor. Don't go just be like, I don't know what we're doing with this guy out there. Like we're doomed from the start. Really, Woody? I think you're doomed in a lot of other ways. Your defense that was fantastic a while back has fallen off a cliff, seemingly. You have no wide receiver talent. Your tight ends are running backs. You got a decent stable of running backs, but they're hurt right now too. You don't have a football team, Woody. Don't go blame it all on Justin Fields.
Right. Hell, even Jerry Jones doesn't, maybe he gets a little testy and a little funny, in his own way in the preseason, but during the season, he's been pretty good about never commenting, and Jerry will comment on everything about he's never breached that cross of moving and saying this guy's killing us or whatever, right? He's never criticized guys during the season, before and after, yeah, but not during the season. He's been pretty good about that.
If I could ask Woody, I would be very curious to ask Woody Johnson, like what was the goal in saying that? Like what was that ever going to accomplish? Other than
wasn't going to accomplish winning.
Other than you just being like frustrated. And by the way, generally speaking, there's only one person Woody Johnson should be frustrated at, and that's himself.
He owns the team.
Yep. Like they've been bad for a very long time, Woody. And there's only one common denominator over the time span of the Jets being god awful, and that's you.
Mm-hmm.
So like they've changed personnel on every level of that football team from the time he's taken ownership, and they've still been god awful. So, at some point start looking in the mirror, not outward.
Yep. All right. Late game. Speaking of Jerry Jones, Dallas at Denver. Nancy Romo on the call for that one. Tennessee at Indianapolis. Andrew Carlone, Charles Davis, Jason McCourty on the call for that CBS broadcast. Let's go to the early games on Fox. The Giants and Jackson Dart head into Philadelphia, where they're trying to regroup from what happened last week. Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady on that one.
Who made this schedule? Why did the Giants play the Eagles? Then the Eagles played the Vikings, and now they're playing the Giants again.
I don't know.
They had a game. They had a 1-game break between the two games they
playing
played
each other.
That's insane.
Maybe it's travel. They wanted to just cut down, and it's only 90 minutes drive from New York to Philly. So
I guess
maybe that was it. And they're actually not even going to Philly. They're going. Well, yeah, the Giants are coming to Philly.
Yeah, the Giants are coming to Philly this time. But I mean,
Frisco in Houston. Who's playing quarterback for Frisco this week?
Have
you seen any difference on any updates on?
I haven't, but this is just purely based on the way they've spoken. Is the way things are going to go, according to everybody in San Francisco, including Mac Jones, is that when Brock Purdy's healthy, this is going to be Brock Purdy's team.
Okay.
So if I were guessing in terms of San Francisco and what they're doing, and like the way things have gone, just leave Mac Jones out there until Brock Purdy can come in your office and say, "Hey, I'm 100% healthy," and then you hand the team back over to him. Now, obviously, you want to have enough runway to where you get like your feel of like you get back in the groove of what your football team is, but you're not in like a home stretch by any means right now. So yeah, if he's not 100%, if Brock Purdy can't walk in there and say, "Hey, coach, I feel 100%," don't start him.
So. All right. Cleveland with their new Joe Flacco quarterback. I'm not Joe Flacco. I'm sorry. I apologize. They're the quarterback is
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel. Against a better than usual New England team, and good for them. Yeah. Buffalo travels to Carolina. Carolina's not been an easy out as of late.
They are another football team that is suffering a quarterback injury, though.
And then the Buccaneers travel to New Orleans, where earlier this week, Baker Mayfield basically said, "I don't like them. They play dirty, and that's all I'm going to say." Well, that's all you have to say. You don't have to go in any further detail than that.
Yep. And like it's I would say 4.5 feels small, but this is very much in terms of rivalries in the NFL.
Yeah.
About as good a rivalry in the NFL you're going to get.
Right.
They genuinely do not like each other, and this goes back to really, I think, where their disdain started was that whole Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore fiasco.
Right. Right.
So, and it's permeated throughout the time that Tom Brady was there, and was Sean Payton still there at that time? I think.
Yeah, he was for 1 year.
Yeah, it was the 1 year, and then transferred over to Dennis Johnson. Now you got Kellen Moore, so it lasts throughout the head coaches and the quarterbacks so far. So there's some legitimate distaste for the other guys on the other sideline.
It's funny because you would think that if Tampa Bay had a rival in that division, it would be Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But they've always gotten along.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, even when they were bad, New Orleans. I'll tell you how bad it goes. How far it goes back. It actually goes back to Tampa Bay beating New Orleans for their first win, and on the same day that they beat New Orleans, 1 week later, when they won their second game, which was a home game against the Cardinals, 5 minutes after the season ended, Hank Stram was fired by the New Orleans Saints. So, there's a lot of history between those two teams.
Yeah, it is interesting because this is a fairly recently born rivalry, all things considered.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, rivalries nowadays are born out of success rather than like history.
Right.
This one's not born out of success. It's just born out of distaste.
Right. Born out of I don't like you. I don't care what you say.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Absolutely.
Real quick. 8:00 tonight. Dodgers Blue Jays game 1 of the series. We got some pretty good pitching matchup going on there for the series. We'll see how it plays out. But Bichette is going to be the DH. Springer's going to start in right field.
Okay, so they deemed George Springer's defense good enough, or maybe not good enough, but they deemed George Springer's defense better than Bo Bichette's defense, and Bo Bichette's bat necessary enough.
Yep, I think that's probably the wise part of the situation for them. And I'm trying to think. Let's see. It's real quick. I know I have it here. We talked about Blake Snell and Blake being the starter for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And Trey Savage is going to be the starter for the Blue Jays. He made his major league debut in September, but he's done pretty well in the postseason. He has a 2-1 record with a 4.20 ERA in his 3 starts, which is a pretty good, a record, except for the fact that when you take a look at Blake Snell, he's 3-0 with an 0.86 ERA over 21 innings.
Yeah, and they need Blake Snell to be good. You look at that injury report. Michael Kopech, relieving pitcher, day-to-day. Kirby Yates, relieving pitcher, day-to-day. Kyle Hurt, relieving pitcher, obviously not as big a name as the other guys on the list, but he is 60-day, so he's out. Tanner Scott is officially out. And then something that they put out, I believe, this morning is Alex Vesia is out, and the wording they had around it did not seem good. Said he was going to tend to a family matter, but the wording they had it made it seem much more. I think they said it was like a deeply personal family matter or something like that. The hope, I would say the hope is that they use that wording just as more of emphasis, like, hey, this guy's not bailing on his team for the World Series, and that maybe the situation isn't as dire as they would have made it seem. So, thoughts and prayers to Alex Vesia and whatever he's going through as well.
Absolutely.
But they are hurting in terms of their bullpen. They've lost a lot of depth to injury.
They have. Jerry has a good point. Maybe the NFL will outlaw fluorescent colors and any shade of yellow. That's That's it. That may not be a bad idea, Jay. We'll pass it on to Roger Goodell and see what he thinks.
He's got to take our idea for getting those 10 p.m. Monday night football kickoffs
Yeah,
out
that's
of
on the list. Yeah.
I think that's number one. We'll work on the colors after that.
Okay. All right, bud. We got to get going here. Your thoughts? What are you going to watch this weekend on TV, and what is you like to do your must sees? Give me a couple of your must sees this weekend.
Let's see. I will go back to that Arkansas Auburn game.
Mm-hmm.
And if you if you just like pure nastiness, turn that thing on.
Okay.
A&M has been on upset alert for the entirety of the year. They go on the road to Death Valley at night. I struggle with how good I think LSU is. I'm not actually sure if they should be ranked based on what they've given me thus far. They're a solid football team. But A&M's favored by 2.5 on the road. That's big for A&M. They've been on upset alert. They're the only undefeated team left in the SEC. This is a quiet Saturday. People aren't going to love the matchups that they're seeing. And when you get these sleepier spots and these quieter Saturdays, it's a lot of things can happen, because now more than ever, it is any given Saturday. Watch those ranked teams. And if it's a close game, turn the game on. I promise you, because there's no guarantee that they're pulling away or they're going to come back.
Okay. We'll keep a lookout for that. I'm going to watch a few football games, but focus on the World Series this weekend. I'm intrigued with the matchup and intrigued with the talent that both teams have. So
I like that they're starting in Toronto too. I know that that's not something that it was purely record based, but
it's going to be wild, because Toronto, they've got their passionate fans, mainly for the Maple Leafs, but they definitely have a fan base that is excited. As a matter of fact, the Maple Leafs are showing up wearing their Blue Jay jerseys after Vladdy showed up the other day wearing his his Maple Leaf jersey to the stadium. So we'll see. And
if they close that roof, it can get real loud in there too.
Oh yeah. It's a fantastic place to watch a game. A fantastic place if you're directing and producing games. They've got their own studios and control rooms there. It's like it's entirely wired for television, and kind of a sub. I know some of the people who watch us, listen to us, are in Canada, and one of the cool things, because Rogers Sportsnet is the Canada's main outlet for the Blue Jays, they will actually have their home broadcasters doing the World Series. Dan Schulman and Buck Martinez will be making the call. So they get their own home field, situation where the folks who've watched Dan and Buck all year, and two outstanding broadcasters, they get to watch them in the World Series, which is kind of cool for them. And to another extent, Joe Davis, who will be calling the games on the World Series for Fox, is the voice of the Dodgers on television. So I'm not saying that he's going to have the same passion for the Dodgers as Buck and Schulman will for their team, but he definitely knows the team, so that'll be helpful.
Yeah.
So
I will say I do like listening to Dan specifically. I really enjoy listening to him call a game.
He's very good. And Buck is good at analyst as there is in the business, so that that's going to be good for the Canadians. And in fairness, I think the Fox crew does a pretty good job of making it look and sound like that they're not leaning one way or the other.
Yeah.
So, and I think if you're the announcer for, like in the case with Joe, with the announcer for the Dodgers, he's gonna have. He's going to. I think he's going to. You kind of go out of your way not to act like are favoring one team over the other, and so that might make it tough. There are many World Series games that Vin Scully called, and the Dodgers were involved, and he didn't seem to, sound like he was a Dodger guy.
Yep.
So I think it can be done. So it'll be entertaining.
Absolutely.
And we'll see how it all works out come Monday. But until that time, my friend, thank you as always for your insights all week long. And people can read your content on Sports Talk Georgia. And please go over there and check him out. He is Matthew. I'm Jim, and we will see you again on Monday, everybody. Have a nice and safe weekend. Hey, Matt.